This is the Team Objection Podcast for July 18th, 2023, episode 583. And I thought after last week's show when we reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and knowing that Dave was probably not going to make it again this week, that it might be time to do another tier list. And for those who have really followed closely on the show, you know we've done something kind of similar. We at one point did a whole watchability and importance and overall rating for the movies that were in the first part of the MCU, basically up through Avengers Endgame. But we didn't really include the TV shows, and we certainly haven't done anything since then. It's been almost 2 years now when I went back and looked. So,
do you know why we did it? Do you remember why? We did it for Dave. And do you know how many of those Dave watched?
One?
I would say zero of since we recommended it, and then he went out and watched. I don't think a single one.
Why is
Why the fuck did I waste my time?
Why is he even in the open of the show?
Why is he even in the show?
Yeah,
is my question. Actually, you brought up a good point because as anyone now, even if you are listening, you will have noticed Cody's here.
Yes,
that's right.
At what point? So when Michelle was here for a while and Dave was not, eventually we reached a point where we're like, okay, Michelle's going to replace Dave. When are we going to just officially kind of induct Cody as Dave's replacement?
You don't want to do that.
Well, it's happening.
If his haircut's going to look like that, I don't want to do that.
It's not about want. It's just happening.
That's true. It could be a position of need.
Yeah. So anyways, tier list. I'm excited. I like doing these.
Cody should be in the intro, says Maisie. Well,
no.
I don't remember how I made it. I think I did it on a website.
We don't need to do that.
It took me a couple days.
We don't need to do that.
Okay. Well, we're not doing it differently.
I just want Dave out of it. That's all. I don't want to be in it. I want Dave out.
Do you want just a black hole where he was?
Yeah, just put third co-host here.
So it's me and then nothing for 5 seconds, and then Sean appears, and then that's it.
Yes.
Do you want in your intro? Do you want your Kurt Cobain hair or your monkey's hair?
I gotta go back right around here.
I don't know that one. Well, I'll have to think about that one. That's probably All American Rejects, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, you got it.
Just give me a month and a half.
Oh, wait to do it.
Yeah, wait. You gotta wait to do it till it's back down to here again.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fair.
I want to hide the cursor real quick. Great. That won't be distracting for the
viewers. Oh, you know what it's like? It's not monkeys. Well, it is, but a better one, Anton Chigurh. That's...
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Oh, that's too bad. You should Google it.
Anton
Chigurh.
Is that Tupac's cousin?
No.
Be careful how you spell it.
It's a guy in No Country for Old Men, the bad guy.
Oh, I know who that is. Couldn't you just use the actor's name?
No.
I'm actually blanking on it.
Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
There you go.
One of those actors. One of the serious ones.
Having just watched that movie, I did not catch what that character's name was for the entire movie. I did not care. He was just.
But what about the scene where he was like Anton Chigurh and he's like sugar? It's like no sugar.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, but I did not retain that name in any way.
Okay, well, anyways.
Maisie asks, "What happened to your hair, Cody?"
It went into the garbage can because it's so fucking hot at every moment of every day of all the time.
And it was
the concert actually
long.
wasn't that bad, surprisingly.
Even in the heat?
Even in the heat, it actually was not that bad. Even in the heat and there being legitimately 10,000 people on that grass lawn because apparently a lot of people want to watch 70-years-olds sing punk music still. I was surprised about that.
Wow.
They're very popular.
Anton Chigurh, man, that was such a good call.
Cool. So I should kill you then, right?
That is
with
sort of right, yes.
What's that called? The cow gun?
Yeah, the cow prong cow stunning murder gun.
Punch a hole in my skull.
So you've seen a tier list or two from us before. I actually have quite a few more set aside because I like them. And I'll even tell you why on air. We've talked about it a little bit off. As much fun as I had with the tournaments, and I actually went back and watched one of the episodes with One of the Minute recently, I thought those were a fun format too, but I think the bracket's hard to follow if you're in an audio side. And we end up talking about the same thing multiple times as it progresses through the tournament. So we spent a long time in round one, and then we've gone over the allotted time, and it's like, well, shit, now round two, you and you and you win, and you win, and you advance, and there's the final four and champion. Instead, now we can take as much time as we want. We can talk about a couple of these very little. Like, for example, in a moment here, I'm just going to put, I don't know, the Winter Soldier in the S tier.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do it.
Yeah,
we don't even need to talk about it much. We've talked about that movie on 7 different episodes.
Okay, you know what? That's fair.
This way we can kind of front load the few that might have changed a little bit, but we have a whole other set of 16 on here that we have not talked about yet. Now we just reviewed Guardians 3, but we've never ranked them, put them in, so so we're gonna have some new ones to get to that we can spend more time on if we skip over a few that don't really require it.
Can we take a second? So S tier is pretty obvious, but D tier, is that F? F? That's a bad way
It's
to
D,
put it.
though. It's D.
Yeah, I know that's why it's bad. But is it objectively awful, and C is okay, or is D horrible?
Isn't it
and
relative to the grouping that you have here?
I guess.
In a
Yeah,
sense.
maybe that's fair.
Now, I took out this list originally had an E, which is stupid, and an F tier. I took them out because I don't know that anything from Marvel falls into that category.
And what's the benefit? Yeah.
And that way, it's also this is really clean visually. Most of the time we do it, it's S, A, B, C, D.
Okay.
And this way, you can also see the first row of titles in the screen. So it's all nice this way. Whereas if it had multiple letters, you couldn't even see the whole list in one shot. So
You don't want to give Thor Dark World an F?
no, it's
not the
good.
worst.
It's not the worst movie to you? It's
no.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't rank it the worst last time when we did our set. So
It's pretty bad though.
we wanna
We'll
be
talk about it.
consistent.
We'll talk about it.
I have no recollection of what we ended up putting last.
I have it pulled up.
Great.
And I
That's
have,
great.
if I can pull this up real
For the
quick.
sake of consistency, we probably should be trying to match it a little bit.
Now with the
God.
TV shows and with some of the movies, for example, I don't know if there's anything I really found redeemable in Ant-Man 2. So
I
that's
can
gonna
tell you
be
one
something
thing
we
that's
discuss.
redeemable.
You're just like Walton Goggins.
There's
that's
Walton
it.
Goggins,
and he's not even good.
I mean, he doesn't get
I
to
mean,
be.
right? It's not his fault.
Could you have just basically made him Boyd Crowder in the movie?
It would have
in
been
hindsight?
more interesting.
Yes, if you had just told him be exactly like Boyd Crowder is.
No, I like it if he was Boyd Crowder actually.
Oh, just literally he's Boyd
yes,
Crowder
from
in
Harlan
the MCU.
County, and he's in the MCU.
Yeah, it's
that
weird,
would actually
but-
would
No
have been
shit,
better.
that actually might have been pretty damn entertaining.
Look,
Yeah, that would've been
Loki's
more.
opened the door to something like that being possible. So
Yeah. Now he's a Nazi, so that's kind of bad. Anyways, let's get
Is he?
back
But
to.
he un-Nazis though. I mean,
Okay,
I'm
that's
in
fair.
the
He does.
un-Nazi stage.
Okay,
But if
that's
he
fair.
is a Nazi, then we already have a built-in storyline with Captain America.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
it could just be him punching out Boyd Crowder on the USO tour.
So I'm of the opinion that we should knock out this first row pretty quickly.
All right, so let's do it.
Um,
Don't start with the Hulk. See, that's
I'm-
hard for me.
Is it?
We should start with the top because,
No, we should start with chronological order, which these are sitting in, kind of.
well,
they're mostly.
no, they're not.
So
Okay, they're not.
this should be easy. This should be D for Incredible Hulk.
But
Yes.
You know
not
why?
necessarily because it's better.
Well, we ranked it a 2.5 when
It's
we
fucking
voted last
terrible.
time, dead last out of all the movies. So if we're
It's
going to be
terrible.
consistent, it's a pretty easy D.
Okay, maybe
It should
you guys,
be an F if we had an F.
maybe you guys disliked it more than I did. Then
It wasn't so much that we disliked it. I feel like I remember it just saying because that one was not based on good or bad. It was based on how
Yeah.
important was it to
How
watching the
important.
thing.
and watchability.
and
it
it's-
was both.
It's
Yeah.
not watchable because
was
it's a
half
different
and half.
actor, and it basically is useless because they just restart Hulk all over again. in
and it's just
Avengers.
90 minutes of action, which
Right.
is entertaining, but for the broader. Okay, here's what I forgot. We reserve the right to switch things around
Yeah, we
later,
can move it
if
later.
we need to. That's
But
fair.
for the sake of saving time, because you rated that the highest back then, and your watchability was a 5, and your importance was a 2.
Well, it's not important, but that doesn't. But this is a different thing.
Yeah, but
Well,
again, if
if
it's
you
all
went
relative,
10, 9, 8, 7, 6 for the watchability numbers. Well, it would be a 5.
yeah, because if you went off the Rotten Tomato ratings for this, most Marvel movies, I don't really know what the most recent stuff has done. I know it's dropped, but most Marvel movies were comfortably. I mean, hell, I even looked them up at one point. Rotten Tomatoes had them all in 80s and 90s. So our tier list would be S, 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 A, 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 A,
Yeah,
and
right.
then
Yeah,
a
you
B
can't
and a
do that.
C. So we're not going to do that. And again, we can move it later if we decide we don't like that. But
Iron Man for me is S tier. It's great.
I knew you were going to do that.
It's the best origin story. It's still one of the best movies.
Best origin story.
Started off the whole thing. It's easy. It's an easy S.
It's the least dickish version of Iron Man, which makes me enjoy it probably more than the other stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And and it's the first movie. Maybe the most grounded. Is it the most grounded? I think it is actually.
I have it in A.
Oh my god. All right.
Cody.
I mean, I put it in B since I don't like Iron Man, but I'm perfectly fine with it being in an A.
Now, it would be on the highest side of A, and it could maybe trickle into soft S, but I don't.
Because I'm just being biased.
I sort of have S tier, not nearly as high a standard as 10s, 10 out of 10s, which we so rarely give, but it's sort of akin to that, where I don't want to load it up too much.
He fights terrorists. What more could you want from an Iron Man movie?
It is the third highest one on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
So
because
I just
it's
pulled that
really, really, really good.
There have been a
That's
couple
better.
movies recently who have really hurt that good, consistent score. Now.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
sure
we
have been.
can make bad decisions. It's okay. Now, Iron Man 2 is definitely not as good.
No.
Although, I mean, nowhere near as good. But to me, like, this is where it starts to get interesting. So something like Ant-Man 2, where I found, like, I just did not enjoy my experience at all. There are parts of Iron Man 2, I'll go back and rewatch it.
Sure.
Like, it's not like a great film, and the gears that I always talk about probably started really grinding in this one, where they're like, we have to set up all the Avengers and introduce Black Widow and all this other shit and a new element just thrown in the middle of the movie. But it's like fun, and the villain is not good, but also kind of good. So I'm gonna go like.
It's amazing how Chris was like, "Let's get through these really quickly," and you're gonna go a paragraph on each one.
Yeah. C. I'm gonna go C.
Yeah,
That's where it
I have
belongs.
in
That's
C.
fine.
Great. That's pretty good.
It's not in D. D is going to be reserved for maybe 3 or 4 things, and it's not one of those.
I
It's,
could almost-
it's decent.
What's not? I could argue B for Iron Man 2, but I'm fine with C. So and you
It'll
both
probably be
went
high
C
C.
anyway. So
Original Thor, it got pretty middling rankings from us last time. I think it's a B.
I think it's a C. I would much rather watch Iron Man 2 than Thor again.
Really?
Especially the first one where like they're trying to take it really, really seriously, and it just doesn't.
They're
really...
trying to take it serious. Thor is trying to be serious at the start of its movie.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah, they're trying to put a serious lens. Now
The
there
guy who walks into a pet store and asks for a horse.
there is comedy from the fish out of water, which I was about to say before you cut me off with that. That there's some fun moments there, but it's he is a serious character. He is serious.
I mean, he's an idiot, but yeah.
Oh yeah, right. So
Cody?
I'm gonna go C, but you guys.
I'd probably put it in C.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
into C it goes.
Fighting
I actually
is
I don't
C
feel like
anyway.
that movie's aged as well as some of the other ones, just in terms of like watchability and
Yeah.
seeming consistent with the
Well,
rest
it's
of the
weird now
universe.
because it feel like you mentioned the fish out of water humor. They went so far the opposite direction with the humor in later movies, which we'll get to in this now.
Yeah.
That now you go back and it's like it feels like a completely tonally different movie,
Yes.
like night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh. I like what he did with the world, and visually it's very interesting. Established Loki. That was cool.
There's just some
But-
visuals in there. I'm like, this doesn't even exist at all with the thunder and stuff like that. We don't see this look of
Yeah. It's true.
like God of Thunder and things like that. Because if you just pretend like it's a different actor, I'd be like, yeah, it's like almost like Hulk is a different actor. When you get to Avengers, it almost feels like it's a different person playing.
Yeah,
it.
for real.
Kind of. First Captain America also had decent results, but not great. I could put it in B or C.
I'm gonna go B.
B.
See, this is again interesting because on the important scale, I would say it's high because it introduces the character. It's not like a great film though.
Not really.
It's the low B for me, but I think in hindsight, it's a little bit more interesting with Winter Soldier and Tommy Lee Jones and
Haley Atwell.
yeah, but not Stanley Tucci also.
Stanley Tucci.
Future movies make you want to go back to the first Captain America in a positive way, and they have the reverse effect on Thor.
Yeah, the biggest problem is the action sucks. Because you know the Russo brothers in there yet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
it's kind of clunky.
it's bad.
It's like
is.
this is a super soldier, so he's got not weird power, but like it doesn't.
Slow punches. That's a lot of the.
Yeah, and I
It
don't.
looks like a comic book.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I don't think Red Skull's a very good villain either.
No, he's not.
At least not in that movie. There's been some comic portrayals of him that have been better, but
I mean, I love the actor, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and
not a good.
I think he did okay with the material. But the material kind of sucked.
Especially at the time, this is by far the most cartoonish villain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unlike you have Iron Man, relatively grounded, and then he has a skull and it's red.
Yeah.
Because
First Avengers. I actually went back and watched this again recently, and it kind of dropped a little bit for
it's
me.
not as good as we remember.
No.
At all.
We already knew some of the problems with it, but now with time, some other things look even worse in retrospect.
Yeah, you're just like Joss Whedon. Shut up. His voice is present in every line of dialogue. It's really irritating. I'm gonna go B, like high B probably, but I don't think it gets A for me. Even though the
I
ending is,
place it in B too.
yeah, I think the ending is still really cool.
Yeah.
But
And there's some good moments. You know, we've seen the whole like circle around all of them when they're posing to death by this point. But it was cool the first time. It really was. And while I think what's happened with Coulson ever since has been kind of a mistake, you know, at the time it felt somewhat meaningful. It absolutely wasn't.
yeah,
But, you know, again, classic
It's
Josh
the first time you
Whedon.
see all of them on screen together.
it might
and
be
all
a
paired
low.
up and
It might
shit.
be a low A just because of that. like that ending is really well done, and it's the culmination of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it sets the stage for everything that comes afterwards. So I don't know. We could maybe move it later. But
Yeah, let's keep it there for now.
Because my first thought was low A, but you all had it in B, and that's fine. Iron Man 3, I think this was our third lowest. Yeah, that was our third lowest the last time we did this. And I think it belongs in D. I think it's even worse now.
I would vote C. Again, that list is not that useful for me because I rated it low because is it super important for Iron Man? No. But is it like a fun kind of entertaining movie? Yeah. So
you gave it a 7 in watchability.
Yeah, I mean it's
which is too high.
I'll be honest, I remember so very little of the third one.
There's a lot of fun stuff in this one. My only complaint is like they felt the need to take him out of the costume a lot. Because like it's Robert Downey Jr. We got to show his face. I'm like that. No, it's a bad call.
This is Ben Kingsley, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was fun. A lot of people really hated that, and I don't blame them.
In hindsight,
but
I think it paid off hilariously because of
That's
the movie
also
he
true.
appears in. Because I think at the time when I watched it, I was like, "This is a little goofy, but all right, fine." And then the way we pay it off is fucking hilarious. So
Yeah.
it's really great.
Yeah,
But other than
I
that,
thought it
remember-
worked. Whereas like She-Hulk subverting expectations did not work for me. So, yeah, I mean I would say C.
Cody.
Yeah, C's fine. Probably because, like I said, I can't actually shit on it enough to argue for it to be in D.
Good. That's my advantage.
Speaking of things that belong in D,
D for Dark World.
I can't even.
I have it
Look,
below the Hulk.
there's even this is almost why we maybe need an F because
Hulk and Thor Dark World are so far apart from each other.
they
in
are,
habit.
but like there's gonna be movies I like a lot less than the Dark World, and I don't like the Dark World, but there are moments, there are threads that are good. Most of which involve Loki.
Yeah.
95% of which
It was
involve
like it's probably
Loki.
just gonna be Loki.
It's just but I mean that's half the movie. Loki in the chamber where he's so upset about the death of the mother. Loki going on an adventure with Thor. Like that's all great. And then oh, I thought you were.
He was.
Yeah.
You
were
swayed
raising-
me.
You're right. That's a rock solid S tier. Forget D tier.
Yeah,
I love
Winter
the,
Soldier.
I love
just
the
S.
progression of these posters, by the way. Like when they're all paired like this, you can really see.
It's kind of fun watching how they go, and it's like they always have to have every character.
Yeah.
Yep.
It got worse and worse over time.
Winter Soldier's great. Yep. Let's just.
Yeah, Winter Soldier's an S.
Yeah,
That,
it is.
We don't have to like. It's
Being
probably it's probably the best Marvel movie.
I just want to
Yeah.
say it's my favorite.
As I
of
say,
all of
being
them.
removing like rewatchability, or actually that's probably what it's leaned on most. But like storyline, all that, it's the one I've watched
Great
more than any of
action,
them.
great use of the genre, great story, interesting character
It makes
dynamics.
Black Widow so much better than she had been in
Yes.
any other movie at all to that point.
Yep. I wish they had kind of stuck with killing Nick Fury in a way, for just inside of that one film, but everything else was awesome.
Like you reveal he's still alive later.
if you want to at all.
Or he's a scroll.
Or he's just dead. I liked him, but I thought it worked so well for the movie, and it was a little goofy that he's like, "Oh, I'm actually alive."
Oh, yeah, he
but
couldn't have been a scroll then. At
He
all.
could've.
They went inside. No, they went inside of him. They would have noticed.
anyways, S
He
tier.
couldn't have been a scroll.
Yeah, but they already faked a surgery in that movie.
Yeah, but they were in. You're right.
So Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians 1,
A.
A.
it's gone up for me over time, but I can't put it in S.
No, there's a lot of people who would put it in S. I actually think we're rating it a little bit lower, but
I think there's.
I
Like,
think that's where it belongs.
to me, there's like 3 movies that are S on here.
I have
Four,
probably
maybe 4.
I probably have 4.
Yeah, I'll say 4 to 5.
It's going to be relatively rarefied air. Yeah. Age of Ultron, we rated decently, and that wasn't even just like importance, although that was higher than watchability. It continues to fall for me as time goes on.
It's like not good, but and there could be a few different factors in this. One of which being I've seen the first Avengers like a million times. I'd almost rather watch this one more than the original Avengers now, which is very weird.
I think weirdly enough, I have actually watched this one more than
Oh.
the original Avengers,
So
and I
you
don't.
must hate it then.
No, I don't know why I have
Oh,
ended up
okay.
watching it more. I think to your point of like, even if it's not a great movie, for whatever reason, I'm like, it's kind of more interesting to rewatch
It
than
is.
the original one.
It's fun, and like the things that suck really suck. Black Widow and the
Hulk.
fucking Hulk is so bad
Does that really
and
suck?
sort of problematic. What?
It's-
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm
it's
agreeing with you.
It's awful. It's so bad. But I like the characters they introduced. Wanda obviously being a huge part later.
Even if it's a
um,
crappy version of Wanda.
Yes. They've toned down her accent a lot since that movie.
Yeah.
I love the Hulkbuster fight. And like what creates the Hulkbuster fight? you guys know, you might not, Cody. I love if you have a situation in storytelling where every character is in some way incapacitated, and it comes down to just one person who is not, and it's all up to them, and then they do it, and that's the
You
whole.
would really like
Hulkbuster
wrestling.
fight.
Well, there is that. There's also a moment later in a different movie that's much better. Well, not much, but that's even better than that.
Yeah.
We'll
So
get there.
it's fun, and the villain is like, he's okay.
I kind of wanted to slap it next to the other Avengers in B.
Ooh, you're gonna put it in B?
I think like if you're talking like, which probably means we should put the first event. Well, I don't know. I would vote B.
The Avengers could go up in the end, but
Like the Klaus thing is weird.
and
Klaus?
I actually kind of like the whole Sokovia sequence. Even though some of it doesn't end up really mattering, and I don't really know what happened with Quicksilver or why that was a choice. The action's fun. We get to
Joss
see the
Whedon.
heroes being heroes. I mean, we talked way back when about how that was kind of the thing that was different between that and DC, which, yes, Maisie, I'm wearing a Batman shirt. I couldn't wear a Captain America shirt. Sean is.
Oh, good call.
It's the only Marvel shirt I have.
What
I
the
bought it
fuck,
for the 4th
dude?
of July. Yeah. I just love the DCU.
Yeah.
We talked then about how like the whole thing was, DCU doesn't seem to give a shit about civilians, and here's an entire sequence of like 25 minutes of all of our heroes helping people. I kind of like that part, so I'm gonna put it in B. We might look at Avengers later.
Also, I just think like the plot, it inventing Ultron and just being like, oh, he's bad, like right immediately he goes evil.
He went on Twitter. He turned evil.
That was it. Whereas like in the comics, he's like a force for good for like a little while, and then eventually starts to turn. No, immediately bad. He gets turned on and goes evil.
Well, the Minion versions of him were kind of good, and then he's like, "Hey, everybody,
Yeah.
we're actually gonna be bad."
Well, like the second he goes to the internet, he
Yeah, he
it's
went on
terrible.
Twitter.
Yeah, and so I didn't like that, but a
would-
lot of the in between works.
I would argue in a somewhat goofy way that I can actually fucking believe that he went through the internet and realized everyone sucks.
Yeah.
I think you could talk me into that now, maybe not so much back then, but I
Yeah.
can believe it now.
All he has to do is find Elon Musk and be like, well, that's kind of like Tony Stark, but even worse, and now humanity's doomed.
And I think Captain America borrows some of his like better movement that he had in Winter Soldier for this movie. Like the action's a lot better. I think the writing is stronger. It's not.
It's really
terrible.
not far off from being actually a pretty damn good movie.
It's not. It's
They just-
really
It's
not.
just
They
missing a few pieces.
yeah.
And
Okay.
unfortunately, some of them related to the villain, which is tough to escape when he's in the title.
I like Claw a lot, and he gets
Claw,
Claw
thank
gets
you.
to be thrown into here. That you were going with Klaus.
Yeah,
I
it was
finally,
Klaus.
I finally remember what you were doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Um,
Klaus.
I like Claw a lot, and I think unfortunately, this whole cinematic universe really wasted the guy
Oh,
and
yeah.
the actor a
They
little
did
bit.
waste him.
But he gets a nice little run there, and it's really funny in that
Yeah.
movie.
Ant-Man's like low B, high C for me.
It's fun to watch. The
I'm
first
gonna
one,
go-
the first one is still fun to watch.
It's pretty decent. It's funny.
If I'm split then between B and C, Cody likes it. Let's go B.
Yeah, we'll put it on the bottom of it.
It's strange
It's
to have that on the same level as Avengers and Avengers 2, though. But
Just from if you pretended that movie basically wasn't part of the MCU at all, I'd be like, oh, this is funny. It's just a weird superhero guy, and he's saving the day. Like,
it's kind of funny.
because how much does that movie have to do with the bigger, grander scheme of things when
Not at all.
it exists in that moment? Not at
Yeah,
all.
that's a S.
Civil War's an S.
Yes, agreed.
Just moving that out of there. But it's below Winter Soldier.
Yes, agreed.
So that's easy. Doctor Strange. As time has gone on, we didn't really rank Doctor Strange all that highly to begin with. And now the second movie has happened, and the further removed I am from that, the more I dislike the second one, which we'll get to.
Oh,
I kind of want to punish this one by putting it in C. Is that harsh?
No, because I found myself really bored through a lot of this movie, except for the end, which I think is stellar.
Yeah.
But
But that's like
that's
20%
not the whole
of it.
movie. Yeah.
I have still not finished this all the way through because I've fallen asleep during
That-
it 3 different times.
So you've missed the only good part of the whole film.
Yes,
You probably heard of it though.
sure.
It's great.
There's a time fight.
Yeah, but it's really, I think it's intelligent. It's like smart what they do with it. But that's not the
As
whole
much
movie.
as I
so
can't
I'm gonna
stand
say
Iron
C.
Man's character, I have soured further on Doctor Strange's character, amazingly enough, and I'm like, I don't ever have a need to go back and watch this.
This movie also is a good use of Rachel McAdams.
Sure, I guess.
So I'm gonna say
I
D.
forgot she exists.
All that is like why it's C and not D.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fine.
It shouldn't be in D because it doesn't belong with those two.
No,
so
D
I
is
think-
reserved for the shittiest movies.
I think
Yeah.
C is okay.
You're gonna have so many C movies.
We're
though.
going to probably end up with a lot of C movies. Speaking of which, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
How dare you? How dare you?
I mean,
It's
we could put it at the
probably
bottom of B, but
C
that's as
for
high as I'm
me.
going on it.
It's-
It's in B. It's in B.
It's in C
It's
for
in B.
me. because it kind of is not good. So let's say all the stuff with Yondu is pretty interesting.
Mhm.
The Mary Poppins joke is very solid. It takes a while to find its footing, and I got annoyed that it's like, okay, here we go, ego. What I thought was a somewhat personal story, it's like, no, actually turns out this is maybe some of the highest stakes that we've seen so far in the MCU.
And it didn't need that for all
no
the things we
reason.
talked about in Guardians 3.
Yeah.
Keep the stakes personal. It would have been fine.
You don't get a lot of the side characters, really? Like, at all?
The whole middle third of this movie just feels like it meanders to me.
Yeah, me too. And then the end is cool where he's like getting controlled, and then he mentions his mom, and he snaps him at. That's all great.
Yeah, that's part of why I push it to I like it in B, is because I actually think that final battle is really really fun and interesting. What's going on? I think it showcases a lot of them pretty well. There's probably even maybe too much humor mixed in. The whole "does anyone have any Scotch tape" thing in it is a little ridiculous.
The bomb jokes from even the trailer.
Exactly.
It was funny though.
But like,
I think top is C. I think it's a fine compromise.
That's why I figured it was a nice
Yeah.
middle ground. Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, we didn't really love back then.
It's a C for me. I think it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring, and it's almost. This is not true, but I want to say it's almost more of like Iron Man's movie than Spider-Man's movie.
Kinda.
It's very strange. The stakes are almost too low. So by the time you reach the climax, you're like, oh, okay. Tom Holland's great, and a lot of those interactions are great with him and Robert Downey Jr. I still think it's like a C.
I've still never seen it.
Oh, Cody.
Well, into C it goes.
Yeah,
I'm putting
you
it
can
there.
put whatever you
Yeah,
want.
I
I've
think
never
that's
seen it.
fair.
Thor Ragnarok.
To me, this is an S.
I think it's an S despite what's happened since.
This would be an S.
Okay.
This is one of my 3 or 4 that I definitely would
It's
put
like
up
my
there.
number 3, I think, on my list.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Whatever
I love
chance
it.
it had of being in the top 2 went out the window after Thor 4, I think. Which isn't necessarily fair because we can rank Thor 4 on its own merits.
Small sample size, but maybe Thor needs Loki.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You know?
I mean, I think
I don't think that's the only problem with the movie.
I do think I would enjoy like Loki being around. Like, why the fuck are you doing any
Yeah.
of this?
I think Thor needs the right surrounding cast because
Yes.
he's fun in Ragnarok with Hulk. He's fun when he's interacting with the Guardians. Like when he's paired with the right folks, it works. He's not always paired with the right folks.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you know what,
it goes back to 1 and 2. He's paired with Natalie Portman for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And that was,
Who's not? I think she does a bad job in that movie. I've gone back. Her comedic chops are not good.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not a bad actress at all. I
No.
just don't think she's cast super well in that character, and I think it hurts every movie that she's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know what? He's with the Guardians in 4, and it still sucks. But you know what? We're
Well,
not talking
it's for
about
like
4.
5 minutes.
I
And
say,
it's
is he though?
Yeah, and it's
It's
bad.
not, he means more so in when he goes back.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with Rocket.
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Black Panther
A.
has risen over time, but I don't think I can put it in S.
No,
I would have
it's
it.
a high end of A.
I would almost put it on top of A. I would almost have it above Iron Man, but it's close. I would definitely have it above Guardians 1.
My thing, I don't think I talked about this before. It falls apart a little bit in the end for me, and I don't just mean the final battle, which is what a lot of people reference, but like basically when he comes back to life, it just did not go the direction I thought it was going to go, and I think it was like weaker for it.
They shouldn't have killed Killmonger.
No.
We
And
said
they
it before.
shouldn't have killed him there either. But I thought the ending was going to go in a different direction, and then they just said no, he's just going to get his powers back, and here's the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well I guess.
And what did you learn?
I did like
We're gonna learn that the tradition is great. We should keep it exactly the same.
exactly. I liked the realization that we have to be proactive heroes and not reactive heroes.
Yes.
Like that was cool, but I still think they dropped the
It's
ball a
done
little
really
bit in there.
briefly at the end,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
With the spaceship thing, and they go back to Oakland or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's not done enough to, and it's not followed up on in any other movie.
Yep.
Like if you had done some version of that in the first Avengers. I'm forgetting what the subtitle of the first half of the last one is.
Infinity War.
Infinity War. If
We're
you had
about to
followed up
get
a
to
little
it.
bit with that, with in Black Panther, when we're talking about Wakanda
Yep.
and the whole battle is fucking there, maybe I could look at that as being like,
And-
okay, they ended it off. pretty
Martin
well.
Martin Freeman also didn't need him.
Yeah, he's kind of just there.
He's just there.
It really this is gonna sound. It feels like he's like, well, we got to have a white guy.
Token white
You
guy.
have to.
And also
like,
like
why?
the
And you know,
tie into other
predominantly-
things too.
Predominantly like like a big name.
Yeah,
guy.
he's both of those things.
You're gonna kill
He's
Claw too quickly, so he doesn't count.
token white guy and tie into other movies all
Yeah.
in one.
Yep, agreed.
Which is the worst of the MCU.
So let's just you can
Tackle
almost
both
put both
Avengers.
of these in S
I
for
have both in
me
S.
at least.
Mhm.
Cody, is that?
Yeah.
Some people prefer one over the other. I think they're both awesome for different reasons. And
I personally like Infinity War more than Endgame, but it's also like I like Empire Strikes Back more than I like Return of the Jedi type of shit.
I think the best part of these two movies is the last 45 minutes of Infinity War and the first 45 minutes of Endgame.
Exactly.
So I don't even know which one I'd have above the other.
I don't love the Endgame's ending. It has to end the way it ends. That's fine. I get it. It's just some of the moments of that are really cheesy.
I love the time heist. The final battle, if you go back and rewatch it, it's actually not that good.
It has a couple of moments, but it's too many characters and too much to do.
You're right, because when they go back into the 3 different scenes of that's some of the best shit of this entire
some of the fighting is cool, like the action is good, but if you boil down the whole last conflict, it really comes down to something Iron Man could have done at any point
moment,
in the fight.
Yes.
And so what was all this for?
Well,
Yeah.
they were
There
trying
was
to
really-
avoid him killing himself.
Well, there was no victory, but there's also no none of it it was all inconsequential because of what he needed to do. He could have done at any moment.
They just had to get everybody involved, and tossing around the gauntlet and playing hot potato with it was the best way to do that.
Good writing, though, has every piece culminate and matter for the conclusion. Lost, I've always talked about this, Lost season 3 finale. Every group was instrumental in the success of the other group. And here that wasn't the case. It's just like here, superheroes battling, and when it matters, Iron Man's going to do the thing.
It's like, I think if I watched it and I watched them do all of the heist and stuff, and then I got right to when the battle starts, and if I just fast forwarded to right when Iron Man dies, I'm like, I don't think I missed a whole lot.
Yeah, true.
You missed the best moment in the entire MCU, which is Captain America with Mjolnir, but that's about all you miss.
Yeah.
And I actually recently, for some reason on my YouTube feed, there was a compilation of like people recording the reaction in theaters when this first came out. And that was by far the biggest pop. It was not close.
See,
it's a payoff of like 3 different movies in like 10 years.
I wish that had mattered more,
That's
it was
my-
still
That's
very
my
cool.
issue with it. Is like it doesn't. It's a big moment, but like they made it not.
Yeah,
because
he gets his ass kicked still.
Yeah, it didn't win anything.
It allows them to buy time.
Yeah.
One-on-one, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then,
S. They're both S. I love them.
Thor's got Stormbringer, so doesn't need Mjolnir anymore.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think they're both S. I think they're both above Thor
He doesn't
Ragnarok.
like Mjolnir. The 4th movie made that very.
Well,
He doesn't like Stormbreaker. He made that very clear.
Yeah.
well, you know. I have complicated feelings about No Way Home.
I like the last half, which is a lot. I'm not even.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, the ending is good. I'm like, the beginning meanders a little bit for me, but the last half up to the finale is really good
I
too.
think it's a low A for me.
I was gonna say B. So if you're low A, I'm B. Cody has
I
not
have
seen it.
Seen this movie.
What's up with you and fucking Spider-Man?
I don't like Spider-Man
Hates Spider-Man. Hates Peter Parker. Hates Miles Morales.
So why'd you like
hates
Across
black
the
people.
Universe then?
because it's actually good.
Okay.
It's a really good, cool take on Spider-Man
So,
because
Chris,
it's not the same
I
boring
guess
shit.
it's between me and you. I would have said you said high A,
Low A.
low A. I said high B.
It's in B.
Okay, that's fair.
I mostly just
I don't mind
couldn't
losing. I don't feel strongly enough about it to.
Okay.
I couldn't do a third version of this. Basically, that's what it boils down to. Is it just didn't interest me anymore? If we had had 2 other Captain America things, as much as I love Captain America, I'm not sure a third time I would have cared.
Did you watch No Way Home? We'll get to that. We'll get to.
Yes, I did watch. I did watch No Way Home.
I was gonna say, don't tell me. We'll get to it when we get
I
to
did
that
actually
one.
watch that
Okay,
one.
you spoiled it.
Yeah, I
That's
Because
think,
it was
I called it
necessary.
No Way Home too. We're talking about Far From Home.
Far
That's
From
my
Home,
fault.
yeah, I hate this movie.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah,
I
this
just
was in consideration for D for me.
This is the only Marvel movie I've ever seen where I was like, wow, I'm actually like getting really sleepy in the theater.
It's amazing how little of it matters. Other than, I mean, I guess they invented the way for him to go back.
They get
in time.
Michelle Pfeiffer home.
This is our first, but not only, example of a character that should not be carrying this many films. The one was fine.
Yeah.
This is one of a couple different examples coming up where it's like, this is now we're being stretched too thin.
What's the best part of the movie? Let me tell you. If the best part of your film is the after credits stinger, that's a bad sign.
It's that, or it's the kid trying to order a burger at Baskin Robbins. Honestly,
Also, neither of which are a good sign for the thing. Yeah.
Is that in that movie, or that's not in the first movie, right? That's in the second.
I don't
movie?
even remember.
that's the sequel,
I feel bad
but-
because this movie was pretty well reviewed. I'm
I
just
don't
like,
care.
it was. I felt
They-
nothing.
Yeah, they had to go get Wasp because they introduced the stakes of that in the first one, and they had to go back and try and find a way to pay that off. And
Yeah.
then it was like, does anyone actually care anymore? Or is Paul Rudd's next appearance being really funny if he shows up in Civil War?
And again, this
Yeah.
is all relative, but at this point, we've now done, I don't know, fucking 20, 21 movies. And if we're talking about this on a relative scale, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
No.
So the highest in D, I think, makes sense.
Yep.
Captain Marvel's like the epitome of a B for me.
I even think it's like
It's like
C. It's
Sean's
just
been
so boring. There are moments that I do like, but she looks to be a lot more fun in the Marvels, where she actually has like a personality.
She's grumpy.
She doesn't
She's
have
grumpy.
a personality in this
She's
movie.
really grumpy for the entirety of that movie.
And not only is Brie Larson's a wonderful actress, so something about the direction is like part of her character is like very stoic, and that's how you have to carry her. And I was like, I don't like it.
I guess you're probably gonna get to it. I think because now since I haven't watched any of it because all reviews are bad, I was hoping Secret Invasion would make it feel more useful in hindsight with the scrolls and
Oh yeah,
all of that, and it doesn't sound like it's doing a very good job of that, which kind of hurts it a
that's
little
the other issue. Is like we said it in the '90s, and now it really starts to strain the well, where is she? And I don't think the way they explain it is very good. And
not.
I just didn't love it. I didn't love the movie. I thought Jude Law was meh.
Yeah.
Thought Brie Larson was meh.
I honestly forgot Jude Law was one of the main bad guys in that movie until
Yeah.
you just said it right now.
I liked the friend. She was cool.
That-
And I like Ben Mendelsohn as a
Again,
Skrull.
who I had hoped that would be useful in the new series.
Yeah.
Are you saying the friend to Maria Rambeau? Her friend?
Yes.
That's going to be in Marvels?
Yes, I forgot her name. Lynch. Oh, she was in No Time to Die. She was awesome in that movie too. She was Captain Marvel in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
She's great, but she wasn't the main character. Brie Larson was. So
That feels about right where you just put it.
Middle of C. We reviewed all three of these shows in tandem, and might as well just toss them all up there right now. At one point, I would have said Falcon and Winter Soldier was my favorite, even though I think that's the least of the three for some people. WandaVision I did enjoy. It has been hurt by what's happened since. Loki was just kind of good the whole time, even
Yep.
though it gets a little wonky towards the end, and I'm not really sure about Loki 2. I'm going to watch it. So, I'd probably have Loki low A, WandaVision, Falcon, and Winter Soldier low B.
I would put Falcon and Winter Soldier in C, but that's my only. I think Loki's definitely an A. You can't make a case for S,
No.
but I think it's the best Marvel show, which is not a good sign that they have no S.
No, because we have a few other shows coming up, and spoiler alert.
They ain't gonna be S.
No.
And WandaVision probably.
I'm ABC. To be
I'm
clear.
ABC.
Yeah.
ABC. Yeah, me too.
It's A for Loki and B for WandaVision. And
Like low B for WandaVision,
Vision.
high C for Winter Soldier.
Yes.
I really like the if I could just rate the last episode of Captain of Winter Soldier, I would, but I can't. I loved it. The last episode was great.
And so it introduced something that I'm fascinated by that they'll probably never touch is secret Black Captain America existing.
That was one
and
of the best
going to
parts.
prison.
Yep.
And we got so hilariously little of it, and it was just used to kind of help him be like, oh, you should be Captain America. You won't be the first black guy that's been it, and you should I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I really want to go see the
Yeah.
secret underground shit. And
We maybe could have
detail
spent
it a
some
lot
episodes
more.
in the middle on that
Yeah.
instead of nothing, like was the case.
you bring up the terrorists who are mad about fake COVID
Hated them
in the
so
universe.
much. Hated them. Now I'll say they get an excuse. It is an excuse because of COVID, and they were like, "Oh, they were going to do a pandemic," and then they pivoted. At the end of the day, unfortunately, that's a fine excuse. I don't care.
The end
I'm
result still
rating
suffers.
the end result,
Yeah.
and the end result is it sucked for whatever reason there
Yeah.
is.
Never mind the fact that fake Captain America is dog shit. But that's
Well, you hate him more than
Right?
most.
You
I
hate
hate
him.
him a
You
lot.
hate him
I hate
a
him a
lot more
lot.
than most.
Black Widow's a C.
yes,
Um,
yes.
I
don't care how much you like Florence Pugh.
No, I do. I do like her. I would have said low B because I'm putting it like next to like I liked it more than Guardians 2 and less than Ant-Man.
See, I feel like.
But if you're both C, then
I liked
it's a C.
I liked it less than Captain Marvel.
Oh.
I think I probably did too. So we'll just put it on the high C, and that'll be how we split the difference.
Okay.
Is it a hot take if I put What If in D?
No, I hate it. It might.
I know the whole premise is that it is hypothetical and like alternate universe reality,
but
whatever.
It's not, and that's part of the problem.
And that's the other issue.
I got to the second or third episode when we have Black Panther as Star-Lord, and I was like, I'm out.
To me,
and Thanos is just like a sad. I
really don't like the message of that whole thing, and as much as it lifts up Chadwick Boseman, it like desecrates Peter Quill.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Peter Quill, if you were better, there would be no Thanos. And you're like, come on.
Really? That's the only reason.
It's the worst writing in the MCU, and it's not close. I would put this in F. This would be the first thing I'm like, it actually is bad, and I would never watch it again. I think you can put it there, and that's fine. I think it's the worst thing they've ever done. Out of anything. I think it's so...
Well, Cody only made it one episode in. We'll put it last.
2. I made it 2. And
in that case...
I was angry at the second one.
It's an S now.
It's bad. Are we on to the next thing, Shang-Chi?
We're approaching the thing I hate the most, so that's good.
You better not. Oh, okay.
He's going to put Eternals in D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right.
I probably won't fight him on it.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, I could see you building a case for A.
Oh,
I can't see it in S for Shang-Chi.
Here's the reason for me it's held back from S is the end of the third act is like, I never understand when movies do this. Like, we're going to do a thing for 3/4 of the movie that you're all going to love, and then we're going to stop doing that for the finale.
It has such good action.
Why?
And it's not that the ending's bad action, but compared to what precedes it, it's not good.
And it's interesting with the dad, so it doesn't fall apart completely. But it
doesn't look great, if I'm remembering right. Doesn't it look a little off from the rest of everything?
Well, it does, yeah. Well, tonally and also like...
Because like we have the bus fight scene, which looks so incredible. And it's, again, one of the better things they've done maybe ever probably. And then we get to the final fight, and I'm like, this just doesn't feel like it was made at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of akin to Black Panther for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's well, that was more of a CGI fest. It was different problems, but it's the same idea where it's like, this doesn't seem to hold up as well as the rest of the movie.
I'm going to say A. That's my vote.
An A.
I would put it in A too.
Okay.
I do like the movie a lot. The humor,
I think better than Loki. I definitely.
The humor that's built into that does feel a little more natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think to it. I don't exactly.
I love
know why.
the actor.
It just might be because Awkwafina's really, to me, very, very funny.
Yeah.
And she works really well in that role.
I don't know why we haven't seen them. It doesn't make any sense to me. This is early phase 4. They have not shown up once. What the fuck?
To that point, how many other of before we got to the Avengers movie when they grouped up, how many of the other ones really did cross over in the first couple years of stuff?
I mean, that's fair, but
is it?
But
right?
Now we're not there anymore.
Yeah,
you know.
But like we didn't get,
so
Hulk doesn't show up again because there's obvious reasons until Avengers. Iron Man gets to keep doing his thing. Thor is in his movie and then all of a sudden just only shows up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Again in Avengers. I don't think they have a reason or an excuse to bring him back.
Yeah.
Which is you only upset because they're actually fucking good.
Well, they were building towards like a little council though. And then we haven't seen the council since then either.
That's a fair point.
What happened?
Actually, you know what? No, you're right. Because Wong shows up.
I was going to say, we've seen Wong like 6 times.
Almost die.
Yeah.
And you win. You're right.
I like Wong, but I'm like, why is he here again?
No, I take that back because you could have snuck them into WandaVision.
I thought the MacGuffin,
Doctor Strange.
There was a moment when Shang-Chi came out where you're like, oh, the new MacGuffin is like these like relics and these like artifacts. No, it's just multiverse bullshit. But because like the Darkhold and the anyways, we can move on. But
Sean, you're gonna have to advocate for Eternals not to be in D.
Well, the problem is, I'm like, I would fight really hard for it to be at best low B, at best. So
you're fucking insane to try and put it in D.
You know, yeah, I think I am. I would vote high C. If you're both in D, it's probably gonna be stuck in D.
Yeah, I'll put it on the highest.
But I do not think it was as bad as everybody's.
It is, in my opinion, the worst movie.
Wait, tell me why. Now, if you were just bored by it, that's hard to.
It is boring, but that's actually not my main issue. It's just So your point of Captain Marvel set at this time, and we have issues with where was she and all that.
Sure.
Eternals is such a gigantic, weird issue, especially in the universe where we've kind of done the Celestial thing with Guardians in Nowhere. I know they're not all identically the same type of thing. It just seems like you made the stakes of this
so big,
so fucking big.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
That I wouldn't have minded if you lowered the stakes a little, took the time to introduce the people. These people don't all get along, drop the stakes down a little, so I didn't have to like in the big grand scheme of things. Like I think if I isolated the movie and it wasn't part of the MCU, I would not hate on it as nearly as much as I do.
That is a problem. Well, but they brought it up again in She-Hulk.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Yeah,
it's not so much that they haven't come back. It's just that these beings exist in the universe, and you probably took too long to make the fucking movie to begin with.
Agreed.
If you were going to do that,
I think the pacing is off. For once, this is maybe the only example of like I think this would have been better as a TV show because you spend so much time with the different eras.
Yeah.
Oh my god! If you just dedicated an episode to this episode, it's mostly this person.
Exactly.
It's mostly this person.
What I thought when I was watching it, maybe that helped me like it more. It's like I'm going to break this into a TV show.
There's so many ways that you could tweak the formatting and pacing of it, all of it, and it would come out better almost every.
And you cut half of Falcon and Winter Soldier and make it a movie in its place.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then everybody's happy.
It looks beautiful. Chloe Zhao does great job.
That's what it's redeeming is that it's shot, and the different settings that you have to go all over the place in that movie are amazing.
And the finale is so cool. I mean, I love that fight.
It is
like fighting Superman. That's cool. But yeah, look, I'm not gonna die on the hill. I get the issues.
I shit on it so much as I'm like, there is so much here that I feel like you wasted now.
It never came back. Like nothing. There were no consequences that, as of right now, matter.
What's his face in the post-credit scene again?
Yeah. Well, that too. So there's a Celestial in the ocean. There's Harry Styles. And
that's Thanos' brother, right?
Yeah, and you're like, what?
Right? Or adopted brother or some shit like that.
Eros.
Yeah, and then we have what's his face with he's gonna be the ancient knight whatever guy, and we have do we have Blade's voice sitting in there?
Yes, they haven't done anything with that either.
There's so much shit. They tried to throw so much shit into it.
They did.
And you tried to do an origin story for like 6 people, and you threw all the extra shit. Like, oh my, calm down.
Yeah. It was not good.
Make it in the like in phase 2 or 3 or some shit, and then I don't know, just let everyone know that they exist. Make 2 movies of it, and make it into a TV show. That could have been easily the first TV show.
Yeah,
and it would have been great. It would have been great so well.
What'd you think of Hawkeye?
I only made through half of it. I've talked about that.
So that's not a good sign. I think we have to address the fact that he has superpowers. There was a line, and maybe he was kidding. I can't remember if I talked about this in Avengers 2, where he was like, "I went golfing today, 18-hole course, shot 18."
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Not unless you have superpowers. No human can do that.
He's that. No,
unless again, I go back to Cyclops. You know, Cyclops' power is lasers. It turns out his other power is like he can expertly know angles of deflection. That's not just like a thing you pick up. That's also a power.
He's a genius.
Batman. He's a human. If you take the best human ever and you augment it by about 4 levels.
He's rich.
He's British?
He's rich.
Oh, rich.
He's British.
Yeah, I think there are other rich people. So anyways, I'll go back to Hawkeye. That was like always kind of annoys me with him. The musical is kind of fun.
At the very start, it's funny.
Yeah, and it would have been a cool movie.
I have it in low B.
We keep getting to I have it C. I can't go better than C.
I think I didn't get to the better part of it. I honestly was really not invested in the bad guys of the show.
I'm so sorry. I also thought Echo was very non-charismatic. Like kind of the whole Tracksuit Mafia villain was bad.
Yeah.
And now they're like, Echo is getting her own show. I was like,
and that's where my issue was. I'm like, I have no investment to who the bad people are in this at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I just checked it. I didn't care.
And like Wilson Fisk showed up, and that was cool in a Hawaiian shirt. That was weird.
Florence Pugh's in it though, right?
She is, and that is some of the best stuff. And I really like the Haley, what's her face?
Steinfeld.
She's great too. So it's not like all bad. That's why I'm saying C and not D, but
that's fine.
Oh.
Sure.
No Way Home's an A.
Oh yeah. Can't give it S. It's a little too silly for S.
I probably have it right behind Iron Man.
It's really, really fun. You wouldn't know because you didn't see it.
I did see it.
Oh, you did?
Hate Spider-Man. All Spider-Man.
Now, did you not like this movie?
No, because at least they dressed. There's other fucking Spider-Man. That was nice.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that we jacked. I mean, the only reason I actually like it as much as I do, though, is because Willem Dafoe is in it, and who plays the actor that plays Doc Ock originally is in it,
and Alfred Molina's in it. Yep.
Yeah, like they're in it, and that helps bring it up to me because I think that they were that's the Spider-Man that I watched when I was so much younger.
You could twist my arm for a low S on this one.
I'm perfectly fine with it being in it.
I don't think I have an S.
Okay.
But it does a really good job of making use of these cameos from across the multiverse, which brings us to our next entry.
Wait, before that, can I just say the scene with Zendaya is like makes me want them to restart Andrew Garfield's movies. It was that good. Where he saves her on the thing. It was great. Like his role in this,
you want the alternate universe back to Garfield.
I want an Amazing Spider-Man 3, and you keep them separate and keep doing both series. I want an Amazing Spider-Man 3 now, and that's a testament because Amazing Spider-Man 2 was dog shit.
Well, again, shockingly, when people are put in the hands of better writers and better movie creators, maybe Andrew Garfield could have been Tom Holland's character in all of the MCU, and he would have looked a little bit better if all that. Now, granted, I think it's funny that he started in Spider-Man and he was like 25 or 26 when he's playing however old Spider-Man's supposed to be in his original movies.
Yep.
But you're probably right. He's looks you look back fonder on his stuff.
I do.
They did such a good job with him in that version.
Yeah, and his Spider-Man is so good.
Yes,
his Peter Parker is he's too handsome, but the Spider-Man is great. Multiverse of Madness, man. I'll let you guys lead on this one. I'll give you my score.
I'm like, I would drop it somewhere in the low B. I know I like it more than Ant-Man.
Yeah, I have it low B despite my massive problems.
There are so many issues with it, but again, I'm just when Scarlet Witch got introduced in Ultron, I'm like, yeah, she probably should be way more powerful than this, and probably be one of the most powerful beings. And I said that over and over and over again, and then we finally got a movie that demonstrated how powerful she was. Now I had a bunch of issues with it. I enjoy her killing everybody. I don't think everyone enjoyed her killing everybody.
I didn't even mind that so much. I like the message. I talked about it before. I won't reiterate it about like trading lives is not so easy. But I really had a problem with like, she's bad. Remember that character development in WandaVision? It's gone. She's just bad.
That's the issue. I'm like, there is so much I want to like, and if we just started teasing her as being really evil sooner, and didn't only do it in WandaVision, and then do it kind of poorly on the back half of WandaVision, when WandaVision moved out of its let's do genre episodes and into the actual having a storyline, that's where the show kind of falls apart.
Yep.
That's like the hard part to deal with
I'm going to go high C. That's my vote is high C. If you're both low B, then I can be convinced of a low B.
That's fine.
Here's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Moving Black Widow to B. For Black Widow.
Okay.
That's fine. It also keeps the rows cleaner for me, which is going to be important when we get too many in C.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also think that Black Widow deserves to move up a little more. Moon Knight. This is the part where I kind of start shrugging aggressively, and we haven't even gotten to a couple of these that were TV specials. But
I'm like, I didn't really like. It's almost talking about the same thing. We can almost do fucking what's his face, Moon Knight and Miss Marvel saying the same thing. Off to a promising start, meanders a lot in the middle, ending is pretty good. In Moon Knight, the performance is extremely good.
I just don't know what the ultimate point was.
I don't either.
I think I can watch it and be like, wow, this might be one of my favorite things that had no point to it that I've ever watched because he's so good in acting in the role.
He's so good, and the ending is cool where he's like dead and he's going through like the ship
cool.
and all that.
I don't know what it means. I still don't know what the point of it was. I don't know what we're gonna do with it following up. I have no clue what the end game is.
Yeah, and I want to like rate it. Like I want it to be okay that it has not lighter. Like I don't want that to be a negative. That it has not meant anything in the larger universe yet. So should that detract from it? If it was really good, I would say no, but it wasn't. It was fine.
I think my one holdup is so DC's doing its own universe, right?
Yeah.
But it's also producing like Batman. Like it has Robert Pattinson as Batman, and it has nothing to do, for the most part, with the extended universe. Moon Knight feels like a show that Marvel was like, this would be a really fucking cool character to make a show about or a movie about or whatever, but we have no use for it being in the ultimate big picture of the world type of thing.
Yep.
If you had made it with like a darker tone, not necessarily like full on like Watchmen level, but a really darker tone like that, and just had it be its own fucking thing, I feel like it would come out so much better than trying to contain it into what the screen is showing. All of this.
So I would say like C for Moon Knight, or are you thinking B because
I mean, I'm not gonna watch it a whole lot again. I don't think.
I would say C, like
It
even
probably-
high-ish.
It
C.
probably lands somewhere.
It's
in
definitely
C.
worse than Hawkeye for me though.
Probably. I think I enjoyed watching it more than Captain America, and yet it seems like it's a worse show than that.
Yeah.
I guess my problem is, like, I'm sure some people that have followed us for a while are thinking, well, sometimes you talk about how everything has to have an MCU tie-in, and that's a negative, and it's like, well, yes, but Moon Knight came along so late in the game that it almost feels perfunctory.
Yeah.
If you don't have a tie-in now, it's like, well, what's the point then? Even though I don't like how they shoehorn in those tie-ins so often.
Well, you have to make it Logan. No real tie-in.
There you go. Thank you.
It doesn't actually work, I don't think, unless you try to spin it off as a multiverse
And
story.
that's one of my favorite movies.
And it's great.
Yeah.
So
That's that's such a good example of exactly what I was getting at. That's a way better example than the current DC stuff. And I get that was in the gray area of who was producing it because Fox was doing it before the rights moved over and all that. But yeah, if you just occasionally were like, okay, we gave you the first 3 phases, everything was linked together, cool, you got a nice happy ending. Now we're going to introduce a bunch of characters that maybe they don't, maybe they exist in that universe, maybe they don't. It doesn't have to do that.
Miss Marvel for me is a D because the first episode is so fun. Did you watch any of this?
Yes.
Okay. Did you watch all of it?
I watched the first half of the
So
show.
first episode, it's like really fun and comic booky and pops a lot and really interesting. They drop all that. All the fun direction
it
and
gets
like
into the family history,
colors
and,
and all that,
stuff,
it's
right?
gone. And then it gets into the family history, which is kind of interesting, but not when it's dragged over like a bunch of episodes. They introduce a weird, wonky version of time travel that is counter to the time travel that they already introduced.
Which one? Because they've introduced 2 and they also don't agree with each other.
I was thinking the one on Endgame for sure.
Loki's doesn't agree with that one either. So.
True. And so
There's another version? They introduced another version?
She goes back in time
I
and
didn't know
affects events that affect her in the present.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's not good.
And the performance. I love the mom, the dad, and Kamala Khan. All great performances. It just was like really, really, really boring.
Which means you'll probably get a much better version of the character and what you actually want to watch in the Marvels movie.
I'm interested. I'm hopeful. Yeah.
This is the least talked about show or movie in this entire list. Well, other than Werewolf by Night, which I don't even know if I want to count.
Oh, that's like an A, but we'll get to it
I don't know
later.
what that is.
But more people talked about that than Miss Marvel. And more people talked about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special than Miss Marvel.
I feel bad for putting it in a D because a lot of people are like, oh, like Muslim
No,
superhero.
has nothing to do with that.
And it doesn't. It just was not a good
No,
show.
because she's actually good.
Had you kept the unique flavor of that like first episode that you established, I think it could have been really good.
Do you
but
want to do
just
that?
didn't.
Have her get superpowers and then get like a Spider-Man like street level type of villain that she just has to stop across like 6 episodes or whatever?
Yeah, I mean that was part of the problem is there's no compelling villains. Not really either.
I
It
feel like if you just did that,
Yeah.
you made her like a really powerful, but she doesn't know how to use them very well.
You
Version
still
of a Spider-Man in the
Yeah.
neighborhood, and she's fighting a city level villain that's not trying to end the world or anything like
Yes.
that, and don't do time
They
travel.
are trying to end the
I
world.
bet you come out of that a lot happier.
You still could have done Family Ties, and that would have been
Yeah.
fine. I don't like it. I'm sorry.
I absolutely feel like her trying to balance who she is. It's very Spider-Man like. She's like hiding who she is from her family for a little bit.
and the like the connection with like the like Islam and like the temple and all that is really cool early on. It just feels like they don't know what they want to do with it, kind of, and it's all over the place.
Thor 4 is a D.
It is. I could make a case for a C. If you're both like D, I'm fine with it being D. It's not good. It's not very funny. I was very sad. I don't know if it's a Marvel movie I've been more disappointed by.
That's kind of my issue.
It is easily the most disappointing.
Especially on the heels of Ragnarok. To then go completely
Especially-
off the deep end on an attempts at humor.
Especially with the person they cast as the bad guy in this.
I think I made a case that like when you get past the beginning, it's like a different writing team comes in and it's a lot better. Like the second half is better than the first half. The first half is just like slapstick. Like, what are we doing? Like, what?
Cancer's funny.
Yeah, it gets
What
there,
is this?
It gets there eventually, but it was like Taika Waititi was too much on his own shit.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody really liked the bits of humor that we had in Ragnarok, and that was fun. So let's just turn that up to 14. And you're like, maybe
Yeah,
don't.
The catch is like the villain here is not funny. He's not supposed to be funny.
And also wasted. He's wasted
but
in this role.
The villain in Ragnarok's funny. Like, this is a funny, comic-y, goofy, spacey world, whatever.
Yeah.
This guy wants to fucking slaughter and kill every god. Where is like, if you wanted to still be really funny, that's not the direction you go.
The end was cool. Like the black and white fight, and I don't even mind. Some people didn't like empowering the kids. I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. Like, I don't mind that.
The movie has pluses, so it might be a little harsh to put it in D, but again, relative to expectations, I don't even think twice about it.
That was my case for C, but
Yeah.
I think it says something where I'm like, I'm not going to fight it. You want to put it in D? I think it
would
works.
watch it more than I would watch Eternals. That's the only thing I could say.
Well, Eternals is dead last for you. I'm trying to strike a compromise there because it would not be that low for Sean.
No. I think you get it. You get it in C, but that's fine. She-Hulk. At times it could have been a B. At times it could have been a C, and the finale was a D.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
don't know how I feel about it. This is maybe the hardest one for me to rank. I walk out of it, especially because the ending I didn't really like either. I walk out of it going like, why did I watch that at all then? I don't know that. See, meta humor is a fine line to walk because, yeah, it can be funny when you make fun of your own shortcomings, but when it feels like the MCU has been somewhat rudderless and not addressing its shortcomings, I don't know that the humor lands when you're not living up to your expectations.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like what we talked about with Moon Knight. Like, if you're going to do it, you got to do it really well. And I don't know that they always did to try to do that ending. But the journey was fun. I would say that overall low B or high C if you don't let the ending completely ruin it for you.
Because I haven't watched this, but this is what I know. It will be different writing people, but it'll be Marvel's overarching thing. This is what worries me about Deadpool. Is Deadpool's got a lot of meta humor, making fun of itself and all that. And if you're going to drop Deadpool into the MCU and he's going to start poking fun at all of the fuck ups you've done, I'm very concerned about that.
But it's not exactly why She-Hulk didn't work though.
No, I know.
But what happened was they went with a meta ending that completely derailed any sense of tension or there is no climax to the show.
In their own thing.
Yeah.
She went and talked to Kevin Feige as a robot in lieu of any sort of climactic fight or even conversation or encounter.
So I can ignore most of this. They introduced a Feige bot.
Yes.
And when Deadpool does funny fourth wall shit, first of all, it's done better, and second of all, it doesn't come at the expense of the ending of its own movie.
That's worse. They
derailed all of it. So, yeah, I would say God.
I was going to put it on top of C. That's why I moved Guardians 2
A lot of women-led movies, real low.
Low B low B or high C. Which, you know, Cody, I would say a sign that Marvel let their women down.
I'll tell you what, I'll put it in low B.
Oh, God.
It is a sign they let them down. And you know what? I think there is a little bit of punishment in this, at least for me, for it taking so long to get them out in the first place.
Yep.
Like, if Black Widow comes out 3 years earlier, it probably gets an A from me.
If we start flipping Wanda to turn evil almost immediately after Quicksilver dies and start teasing her as a villain, I'm going to probably enjoy that a hell of a lot more.
You know what? I like that. I think She-Hulk is better than Captain America, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Moon Knight. Like,
okay.
That's not a bad place for it.
That's kind of what I
mean, you could say
on
it's the very top of C, but I'm fine with high B.
Now, maybe this makes me a fake nerd. I had no idea what the fuck Werewolf by Night was until this morning when I put together this list.
It was really good.
I've never heard of this.
It's not an S, but it's just a one shot. It's a one episode. It's a special, and it's just a Halloween thing. And it has Gail. What's the name? Cody Garcia. Whatever. He's great in it.
I had never heard of this until the second I looked down there and wondered what the fuck.
It's like a bunch
so
of.
it wasn't just me then.
So it's a bunch of people. They have to go on like this hunt every whatever moon a year, and they're like hunting this monster and they have to kill it. The werewolf he's in on the hunt, but he's actually a double agent who's there to like protect the thing that they're trying to hunt because he's like it's actually just like a friendly monster. And he's like fighting these other like
because he's also a friendly monster.
Yeah, they're both friendly monsters, and he has to like
werewolf.
Yeah, he has to make allies with like some of the other people. It's shot in black and white, so it has a lot of musical tones from like an old, like 50s movie.
So they
40s
did make
movies.
something that has nothing to do with the rest of the MCU.
Seemingly, yes. You can argue there are moments of color. A lot of times, red is the color, and it looks like some of the Scarlet Witch chaosy sort of magic. That's like pretty much the only tie-in. It's just really solid and it's fun, and then when it's over, you're like, cool.
So it's what I was asking for.
Yeah.
have something.
You should watch it. And watch it. It came out near Halloween, so it's just like a fun Halloween viewing.
I was busy watching Hocus Pocus. I'm sorry.
It's the most violent MCU thing they've ever done by a lot. So it's fun.
I'll put it the lowest in A.
You're intrigued a little bit. Yeah. It was solid. It got great reviews.
Because you think it's an A and we haven't seen it, so I can't put it any higher in A. But
Yeah.
I'll put it in A.
Oh, this is a weird one.
Yeah.
Black Panther 2.
A.
Some of it's A, some of it's C. So I don't. It's a tale of two movies mashed into one.
My temptation was to put it the highest in B.
That might be fair because that's right in the middle of both of them.
Because, like you said, there are moments that work. And again, we talked about it at the time. The Herculean task of reworking this after Chadwick Boseman's death, I don't even know if they could have done much better than this. But it doesn't mean I walked out of there going like, oh, I love that. It was like, that was good.
The Riri Williams stuff did not work for me. The being mindful of the gravity of the death of Black Panther / Chadwick Boseman worked really pretty well.
Yeah.
So
You can tell the love and care they put into that.
I
as they
can't
had
get
to.
over the fucking Submariner's wing feet. It's supposed to look cool. It looks so stupid to me every time. But
He's so much better than Aquaman.
yeah.
As a thing that exists
Totally.
under the water.
And I love like all these different actors of color like getting to do cool stuff.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was very interested and I guess invested into the backstory of getting into that type of culture and how
Yes.
how he became superpowered and all that. Super interesting, even if it does very, very deeply into like an Inhumans type of territory
Yep,
type of thing. I was like super invested in and interested whenever he was on screen.
definitely.
Like his backstory is just really cool.
I think you can make the case that Black Panther 1 and 2 have the most hot people in them out of everything in the MCU, which has
There's
made
a lot of hot people.
there's a lot of hot people in the MCU, but per capita,
Yeah.
you might be able to make the case. Like, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of hot people scattered across all these. You're right. I haven't seen Quantumania.
I haven't either.
I don't even care.
Um,
So this is up to you, Sean. But keep in mind that my not caring is going to probably weigh down your ranking a little bit.
no,
And my hovering over it on Disney Plus and thinking anything else to watch was better.
I could just watch this right now. I just have to click a button.
I still haven't. I mean, it's that available, and I have not bothered.
I don't know if you can weigh it down. I don't know if I can put it above a D. I could maybe do a C, but then you guys are going to weigh that down anyway. The stuff with Jonathan Majors, Kang, most of it works really, really, really well. They go on like this weird space Star Wars sort of inspired adventure, most of which is really, really boring. The Kang stuff, you actually go into the history where he meets Michelle Pfeiffer, and they like have like a thing where they're stranded, and she doesn't know he's bad, and they're like working together. Really good. And when he fights Ant-Man, and just like, this must have been filmed after Rocky, Creed 3, because there's just some crushing blows in that fight. And it's great, but so much of it is not good.
There's a giant floating head in the movie.
The Deus Ex Machina completely derails the movie for me. I talked to somebody else, and he was like, no, I think it made sense. I was like, no, you're wrong. It didn't. It's Deus Ex Machina hardcore. And I can't get into much more of it because I haven't seen it, but it's just that
I don't care if
the
you spoil it.
conclusion comes out of nowhere, and it doesn't work because it comes out of nowhere, and Kang gets taken down by a bunch of ants.
Well, it's Ant-Man.
It's Ant-Man.
So
That's what he
basically,
does.
your point here is they chose to introduce their next big, overarching, huge universe villain, and they fucking picked Ant-Man of all the movies.
Which I actually, in theory, like. Like, I think that's fun to be like, yeah. Like,
if he kills Ant-Man.
Bye, Scott.
But
so
like,
it's
you just-
one variant of Kang.
I know, but I just feel like you undercut the menacingness of it when, again, the first two Ant-Mans, when we look back at them, of the stakes of them and all that. And I get that he's important in time travel and all that. He doesn't actually fucking do anything. He doesn't
The
fucking
MCU has made him a laughingstock, so why
Exactly.
should I care?
I'm just gonna spoil the ending. So when they get sucked into this world, some ants get sucked into a different world, and they like live out like an eternity in this other world, so they become highly advanced.
Advanced ants.
Yeah,
And
so they're like smart, and so when they come back at the end, they save the day multiple times,
Right.
more than once, and take out Kang. And you're like, this all came out of nowhere.
So
Right.
the other universe that exists, which is run by ants, bleeds back into this one, and then they win.
They come
Right.
back, yeah.
They come back,
And
they crawl inside Kang's asshole, and then they
had
expand.
they introduced this idea anywhere in the movie, it could have worked, but they like didn't. They're just like, oh, good thing that this other
It's a
random
good-
thing happened.
It's a good thing that we've told you how smart the ants are when they have ant brain machines on.
Yeah.
Not to mention we don't like the precedent because now it's like, okay, you're already dabbling in multiverses and several different projects. So if things can just be solved from other multiverses.
That's
Yep.
right. And it's like when we protected Thanos a lot when we led up to him being the big bag. And I get that there was one of him and there's multiple of Kang. That's kind of an issue, as he just said.
But
5
the
seconds
first
ago.
impression still mattered.
But yeah, Thanos is super intimidating when you first see him. And I guess technically it's not the first time because we saw him in Loki. So that's
One.
in a backward
Yeah.
way.
Kang- I will say this. The issue for me was not look at what a bitch Kang is. I thought they addressed it okay in this movie. And he's also like a weird variant of Kang. Like the other Kangs don't like this variant either.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you
he's
need
a
to make the
shitty
case that it's like,
Yeah.
look at what it took to get rid of what is probably a substandard Kang.
Yes.
But
But he killed Avengers. Allegedly. Well, I don't know why they would lie. I'm sure he's telling the truth.
well, you know,
I don't know.
this
They,
is where
they were going to go into scenes where he is killing other Avengers, and they decided to cut it.
Because we
But,
already did it with Wanda and she already killed a bunch.
yeah, so
Yeah,
he
people
mentions
didn't
it, which
really
I
like
also
that.
don't like. But
But he didn't kill Ant-Man. Ant-Man's not dead.
Well, this is also why you have to be so careful when you're doing multiverse shit and people scattered across because Squirrel Girl has beaten Galactus,
right,
according to A canon. So you know,
I'm fine with it being at the bottom of C because when I compare it, it's like, yeah, that's probably about where it is.
it doesn't seem like it belongs in D
Yeah,
because of its strengths. Guardians 3 is an A. I have it
It's
ahead
an
of
A.
Black Panther.
it's an A. You could say maybe low,
have
low,
it
low
right
S,
here.
but no, I think it's A.
I could even quibble about putting it above No Way Home, but I think the first Iron Man is just too important.
Yep. Well, I
And it's
wanted
good.
it in S, so yeah.
Well, maybe. And the
this-
Guardians Holiday Special, I don't even know if I care to rank.
It's great.
I
think,
know it's canon.
I think it's A. It was just like
It's-
or
it's-
maybe B,
It's. I mean, in terms of things that are really low stakes and low impact, it's
but it's
fun and
Yeah.
funny. I would throw it somewhere in the middle of B, probably.
Maybe B. B, I think is
Like
fair.
it's. But the thing is,
Putting it here
it's hilarious
next to
because
the other
yeah,
special, and
'Cause
because it evens it out.
it
Yeah.
hilariously is. I
In
mean,
A.
you don't have to do as much work with it, but like, I don't know, it's funny and better, and I feel like it
Yeah,
actually does
it's-
a decent job helping set up the third Guardians
It's canon.
movie.
It does matter. It's funny.
Drax and Mantis don't get a ton of time in the movies, so it was nice that they're like they get their own special.
Yeah. And
Basically,
I like Mantis a lot.
yeah.
As goofy as a
Yeah.
character as she is, and so I was like, oh, this holiday special is basically made for me.
I wish kind of going in this direction. I think their TV is. Actually, let's do this. Let's look at this list a little bit. Let's give some insights. Right,
Okay.
the TV sucks. For the we have one show in A.
Yep.
And one show in B, two shows,
Two
in,
shows
B,
in B.
and then all the rest
Yeah.
are in C and D.
And She-Hulk is hanging on by a thread.
All the TV is in C and D.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday specials are pretty good because they're just one-offs, so the pacing's not all weird, which is a problem that plagues all of their TV.
You're not trying to do too much at
Yeah,
one time.
They're holiday adjacent, which is like kind of fun too.
And even if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was here, that can't be higher than like a B, can it? Like it has some great moments, but it also meanders a ton.
The problem with that is it is 4 different shows in one. They
Kinda,
venture
yeah.
off so fucking randomly.
And we know how
The-
much they were beholden to the MCU at the time and what
Yeah.
they weren't and
I'll
were
say
allowed
the,
to do.
the best of S.H.I.E.L.D. is better than any of the TV shows we put on here.
Yes.
But that is
Yeah.
limited to
That's fair.
2 of the seasons.
But I'm just basically saying
Probably.
that to better
Yeah.
Sean's point, which
Yeah.
is that's also down in the B
Absolutely.
whatever range.
Yep.
It doesn't have the heights. I mean that's not fair because you know these biggest movies at the top here had the biggest budgets compared to everything else, the biggest leeway, the most build to them. But it's still not a good sign for the MCU.
Yeah, well, so let's get some other insights too. So Bob Iger, who
Women all bad too.
turns out, yes, that's another insight. Bob Iger's kind of a piece of shit. It turns out.
Oh,
I'm sure
no
you're
way.
surprised that a billionaire sucks,
Huh.
but he was like, "Do we really need all these movies with like all these characters getting 3 movies? Is that really the best business strategy?" And I would say, well, based on this,
No.
a lot of the movies with 3 are pretty good. You have a lot in A and S. You have
Iron Man 3.
threes in S.
Iron Man 3 is not good. Quantumania is not good. These are on our list.
Yeah, but
Thor 4 is not
it's
good.
terrible.
I see to Sean's point of getting Thor 3, Captain America 2 and 3, and Avengers 3 and 4.
Spider-Man
Yeah,
3
No Way
is
Home
good.
is really good.
I guess, but the problem is you
Guardians
need
3.
somebody worthy of it. Because, like, do you want Black Panther 3 at this point without Chadwick?
Well, no.
So, like, you need to have a character that's worthy of it. Ant-Man is not, but, like, Iron Man certainly was.
Well,
Cap was.
Here's the problem, though. I think that Bob Iger's missing, which is hilarious, actually. Cody, you're going to think this is really funny in lieu of the strikes that are happening. if the writing is good, you can make a case for any movie getting 3. At Thor 2, would you have said we really need a Thor 3?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
But then you gave it to
The
Taika.
writing's great. It's one of the best things in the MCU.
Well, there's also a set of directors that directed 4 of the 5 movies at the time.
Absolutely true.
And I do-
Which is your other problem is, whoa, shit, if you found the good directors for it, maybe you're going to do it correctly.
And
Yep.
it's possible you could have that for like Doctor Strange.
And
who's
then
coming off of a second movie that's
well, and then you have James Gunn directing 1, 2, 3 of the A in the list.
but he's gone now.
So that, yeah. So yeah, it turns out the quality behind the stuff matters. But
So-
let's not pay anybody. Actually, I don't want to pay writers or
No.
No,
anyone.
I mean we're doing these movies to make money, but let's not pay people to make money.
If we could actually do everything AI, from the writing to the acting, I think that would be better.
Yeah, and in front of green screens, which is the direction we're going increasingly as well.
Yes. Yeah.
All green screens all the time.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I don't even remember what the hell the most recent one is. It's out right now with Nick Fury in it, and it's where we just found out that
Secret Invasion.
that's the one, Secret Invasion. I couldn't think of the name. We just found out about somebody being a scroll and blah blah blah.
See, my initial D. I'm not going to watch it.
It might go into D. I don't care.
I don't think I'm going to watch it. I have no reason.
Is that
Yeah.
the first thing? Because you watched basically
I've
all
watched
of this.
all of this.
So
I've
Secret
watched
Invasion
every single one.
Secret Invasion is the first thing you're going to fully not watch.
It might be the only reason I do watch it, but I don't like the precedent that sets for me. So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna see. But it would be the first thing out of this entire thing I have not watched. I also think I'm gonna watch What If Season 2, which is coming.
Well, there's no reason to do that.
No. So bonus, Daredevil. Where would you put Daredevil?
I didn't watch that.
Oh my god.
The
So I'm
Netflix-
the only
the
one
Netflix
watching.
series?
Yeah, it's S.
Not the movie.
It's S because you have 2 seasons of S and 1 season of A, and that's S.
And Jessica Jones is what, a B because
Oh,
of one
God.
season of S and then falls off.
You have 1 season of S, 1 season of like D,
Yeah,
and then
right.
something B. So I guess
I guess
B.
it's a B.
Uh,
It's tough because you wish you could isolate that one season, but then you could do that with Agents of Shield too.
Luke Cage is like a B or a C, and then Iron Fist is just D.
Iron Fist is a D, and would be an F if it was eligible.
It's down with What If, yeah.
yeah.
Was there one more, or is it all of them?
No, well, the
Punisher?
Defenders, which is like a
Defenders.
when it focuses on Daredevil, it's like an A to B, and when it doesn't, it's like a C to D.
Okay.
Yeah,
So real quick,
Daredevil kicks the shit out of Iron Fist. It's the best part of the whole show. Sorry, go ahead.
we're not going to read off the entire thing. If you're watching, you can see it, and if you're not watching, you can go check that out. I'll have a screenshot of it at some point. But basically, the top 5, the S tier, was Winter Soldier, Civil War, both the Final Avengers, and Thor Ragnarok. I can tell you what everybody else did. They did this tier list.
Sure.
We won't go over everything, but S tier, of course, is important. They have both Avengers up there,
Guardians.
and the first one.
Guardians is up there for sure.
They have the first Avengers up there as well, which I think
Interesting.
is a little crazy.
Yeah.
Civil War is up there. Guardians 1 is up there.
Yep. Black
Winter
Panther?
Soldier is up there, and the first Iron Man is up there, which we could still move Iron Man up there if you really want to.
I think we should.
All right,
It's great.
I'll do it. I'm with you.
Awesome.
Even though Cody's not because he hates Iron Man. And black people. In A, they have Thor Ragnarok, No Way Home,
That's a bad take.
Black Panther, Far From Home, the first Doctor Strange,
Interesting.
and Guardians 2.
Interesting.
So kind of falls apart towards the back half.
Interesting that they don't have Guardians. Okay. Weird.
I believe these are done in order based on just like what we've done, like left to right.
Yeah.
So they started off good in A, and then it fell off towards the back half.
Okay.
That means that Infinity War was number 1 overall, by the way. It was the A1 or
Okay.
S1,
Okay.
and Endgame was 3. Guardians 1 was 2, which it's a little hard.
Yeah, I agree.
We won't go down the whole thing because, again, the middle stuff doesn't really matter as much. But I can tell you that they also had the E and F tiers that I did not, because I deleted them. The 2 and F, She-Hulk,
Of course. Which is a bad
Werewolf
take.
by Night.
But
Wow.
that's so weird to me. Werewolf by Night was very well reviewed.
My assumption is that people just threw it down there if they hadn't watched it,
Okay.
which is
that's
what
fair.
you shouldn't do. You shouldn't rank them if you don't feel like. So
Yeah.
when we did the Chip one,
It has
We
90%
just
on
skipped
Rotten
stuff.
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to back you up.
Yeah,
with it,
it
being
was
reviewed
really
very
good.
well.
and E is which again we didn't have, Quantum Mania, Dark World, Miss Marvel. So
Yeah.
the bottom half, and they also of course had D, which has stuff like Miss Marvel and Hawkeye and Black Widow and Eternals in it, and What If was there. So there's a pretty good amount of overlap, but I kind of like the ones that we have higher that they don't.
Where was Loki?
Loki, fucking, where is Loki? What's Loki's one look like?
It's
That
like
one. Kind of
yeah.
gold looking,
Yeah.
bottom of B.
All right. I mean, it's low, but
Shang-Chi was B. Ant-Man was B. Ultron was B. First
Okay.
Captain America was B, just like we had it.
I like this list. I want to save this and like look at it again.
Yeah, well,
Later.
I'll save it and put it aside. I've done that with the last couple, so
Cool.
it is kind of neat. And of course, maybe if something changes over time, but for the time being, I've punished the things I think deserve to be punished.
Yeah. Yep.
So that is it. Next week, Dave should be back. There is a game show ready. There's a few other things we've been sort of waiting to tackle, so we'll see what ends up coming up, but we'll be back next week. And we have plans for like the end of the year already. We can't talk about that yet. It's too soon, but
I maybe won't be here next week, but we'll see. I might have to be in Phoenix for a shoot.
didn't you say you weren't going to do that for? Well, you told them you weren't going to do that for a while.
No, well, there's one more, and then I'm not going to do it for a while.
Okay.
And it didn't happen before, but it's looking like it might happen now.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Thank you for watching. As always, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com or youtube.com/objectionnetwork, so you can follow along with these live shows with us and pop up in the chat like Maisie did to tell me I'm wearing a Batman shirt. We'll see you next time.